राधे गोविंद गोपाला। राधे गोविंद गोपाला। राधे गोविंद गोपाला। जय गोविंद राधे गोपाला। जय गोविंद राधे गोपाला। गोविंद गोविंद गोपाला। राधे गोविंद गोविंद गोपाला। जय जय गोविंद गोविंद गोपाला। जय जय गोविंद गोविंद गोपाला। राधे गोविंद गोपाला। राधे गोविंद गोपाला। जय गोविंद राधे गोपाला। जय गोविंद राधे गोपाला। कृष्ण मधुसूदना मधुसूदना कृष्ण। कृष्ण मधुसूदना मधुसूदना कृष्ण। गोविंद गोविंद गोपाला। गोविंद गोविंद गोपाला। राधे गोविंद गोविंद गोपाला। राधे गोविंद गोविंद गोपाला। जय जय गोविंद गोविंद गोपाला। जय जय गोविंद गोविंद गोपाला। राधे गोविंद गोपाला। राधे गोविंद गोपाला। जय गोविंद राधे गोपाला। जय गोविंद राधे गोपाला। रामा गुणवर्धना गुणवर्धना रामा। गुणवर्धना गुणवर्धना रामा। रामा गुणवर्धना गुणवर्धना रामा। रामा गुणवर्धना गुणवर्धना रामा। गोविंद गोविंद गोपाला। जय जय गोविंद गोविंद गोपाला। राधे गोविंद गोविंद गोपाला। गोविंद गोपाला। राधे गोविंद गोपाला। राधे गोविंद गोपाला। जय गोविंद राधे गोपाला। जय गोविंद राधे गोपाला। जय गोविंद राधे गोपाला। बोले राधावर कृष्णचंद्र भगवान की जय। राम सिया राम जय जय राम। 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 मंगल भवन अमंगलहारी। मंगल भवन अमंगलहारी। द्रवौ सुदशरथ अजिर बिहारी। द्रवौ सुदशरथ अजिर बिहारी। राम सिया राम जय जय राम। राम Siya Ram, Jai Jai Ram. Ram, Siya Ram, Jai Jai Ram. Ram, Siya Ram, Jai Jai Ram. Mangalamurati Marutanandana, Mangalamurati Sakala Mangalamulani Kandana, Sakala Mangalamulani Kandana. Ram, Siya Ram, Jai Jai Ram. 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 सियावर रामचंद्र की जय, पवन सुत हनुमान की जय, सद्गुरुनाथ महाराज की जय। सहनाववतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यं करवावहै विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः। समस्तजनकल्याणे निरतं करुणामयं नमामि चिन्मयं देवं सद्गुरुं ब्रह्मविद्वरं, सद्गुरुं ब्रह्मविद्वरम्। Narayana is doing samvada with Nara. Narayana means Bhagwan is having a dialogue with a jiva. He says, ideal is put your mind in me. If that is not possible, mat karma paramo bhava. Do all your duties for me. While doing duties, if Bhagwan we don't remember, if it is difficult to remember Bhagwan, surrender all duties to Bhagwan. He says, after doing the duty, when the result comes, having prasada buddhi in that result. Doing that also is my bhakti. Sarva karma phalatyagam tatah kuru yatatmavan. Means let mind not run away thinking about results of our actions. It will come no matter what. There is one saying in Sanskritam, na tasya phalachauryam vidyate. Means Bhagavan is so content by himself, he doesn't want to keep anybody's karma phala for his sake. Whoever does whatever, they will definitely get their fair share. So why unnecessarily think about how that result is going to turn about? Then Bhagavan said, compared to just abhyasa, compared to doing some practice, having knowledge of why we are doing it, having knowledge of the supreme most goal, and then doing that practice is much greater. Compared to practice, knowledge is greater. Compared to knowledge, meditation is greater. That person is not only knowing it, but is also absorbing mind in it. Even greater than meditation, he said, is acceptance. The third sadhana in that one notch down sadhana, Bhagavan puts it on the top. Sarva karma phalatyaga, He says, Arjuna, to let go of anything in life is difficult. What to talk about? Karma phala tyaga. To do simple tyaga is also difficult. One who has done it, that person is really great. Doing tyaga of opinions, doing tyaga of strong preferences, finally doing tyaga of results of action. Results of action, doing tyaga means accepting it with a smile. That Bhagavan says is the supreme most. Having said this, now he is elaborating who is a devotee. Whom does Bhagavan call as a devotee? First he says devotee is somebody who doesn't have hatred towards anybody. Adveshta sarva bhutanam. He has understood that hatred is something, dvesha is something. Whether it does harm to the one who is hated or not is another matter. It definitely does harm to the one who has it. One who has dvesha. One Mahatmaji would say it is very much possible that the recipient of dvesha might develop vairagya. The recipient of dvesha might develop vairagya and say, this is what is the nature of world, let me turn my mind towards God. But one who is having that dvesha, that person will be holding on to the hot coal. So this devotee, if somebody says, I am a devotee of the Lord, the first insignia in his personality is pleasant nature, no hatred towards anybody. Adveshta sarva bhutanam maitraha karuna evacha. At the same time, he has love minus attachment. Lot of love minus attachment. One very good example of this love without attachment is when we teach Bal Vihar. Especially little children, you love them so much. But after the class is done, they are on their own, we are on our own. That is how he lives in this world. A lot of sneha is there. Vedantin is not dry in his emotions, always staring at the wall. Something is doing abnormally. Many times people ask this question also, right? They say, you are on a spiritual path now. What were you doing when you were normal? Means right now something is abnormal. Of course, they ask with a good intention. But the bhavana is, in every interaction, this person has sneha. It is said in Ramcharitmanas, wherever Sitaji looked, there lotus would blossom. Wherever Sitaji looked, there a lotus would blossom. Now these are poetic ways, okay? We should not feel like she had some magical powers. Through her eyes a lotus would come. The love was such, as tender as a lotus. That is his mitrata, maitra. At the same time, he has karuna also. Wherever there is a feeling of oneness, compassion is a natural value that manifests there. He doesn't have to separately practice it. Nirmamaha nirahankaraha. Doesn't call anything as his, nirmamaha, and doesn't have strong doership. Ahankara means, what is the insignia of ahankara? Doership and enjoyership. Gurudev would narrate an anecdote. The sound was good before, huh? Before it was good, don't change anything. He would say there was a person who was trying to save himself in a river. And if you are drowning in a river, whatever you see, you want to hold on to it. So he sees one silver stick floating. And in his fervent struggle to keep himself afloat, his hand touches that silver stick. But he is not able to hold on to it, it has gone away. Somehow or the other, this fellow saves himself, comes to the shore, and then starts crying. My silver stick went away. You say, your silver stick, what did you do? Just touched your hand for a few seconds. You see, this is what ahankara likes to do. Wherever it touches its hand, there it will say, I did it. So this sadhaka has realized the fallacy of this thought. He moves around in this world as nirmamaha, nirahankaraha. There is one subtle aspect of this nirmama, nirahankara. That is to feel there is no ahankara in me, there is lot of ahankara in somebody else. That is sukshma part of it. So this sadhaka, whenever he looks within, he sees lot of faults, dosha. He says, such a big list is there to work on. When he sees the world outside, he takes only guna. That is how Bhagavan has made our sense organs. Paranchikhani vyatrunat swayambhu. We can put the blame on Bhagavan. Brahmaji has made our senses such, it will always look outside. So this sadhaka, whenever he looks out, he sees divinity. Whenever he looks in, he sees divinity also, but whatever has to be improved, that he sees within. Nirmamo nirahankaraha samadukka sukhakshami, equanimous in joy and sorrow, and has a very forgiving nature. Now when he is by himself, how is he? Have you heard of yama and niyama? Yama means those rules and regulations when we are with the world. Niyama means those disciplines when nobody is watching, when we are by ourselves. So what are those things that he practices when he is by himself? 14th verse. Santushtas satatam yogi yatatma drudha nishchayah mayyarpita mano buddhihi yo madbhaktas same priyah. Santushtas satatam yogi yatatma drudha nishchayah mayyarpita mano buddhihi yo madbhaktas same priyah. Saha me priyah. That person is very dear to me. Who is dear to you, Bhagavan? Yaha mad bhaktah saha me priyah. The one who is my devotee, that person is very dear to me. Then the question is, who is your devotee? This is santushtah satatam. He is always content with whatever God blesses him. Never complains about anything. That is the first requirement to become a yogi, to become a bhakta. First requirement is non-complaining. Santushtah. Yal labhase nija karmopatam vittam tena vinodaya chittam. With whatever Bhagavan blesses him, with that he has found out a way to entertain himself or keep himself entertained or cheerful. Vinodaya means what? Keeping yourself cheerful. That is his accomplishment. That is why he is Santushtaha. Bhagwan Shankaracharya calls such a person as Sanjata Alam Pratyaya. Means in his heart, one thought has risen that this is enough. Alam means enough. If that thought is not there, no matter what he gets, he never feels it is enough. In Kathopanishad, Yamacharya offers so many things to Nachiketa. Nachiketa says, Bhagwan, you are offering me all these things. But I see around, and what I have noticed is, no matter how much a person gets, they never feel it is enough. With regards to different things, with regards to wealth, resources, social contacts, family, objects. Whenever we get something, he says generally the thought is, oh, I don't have that. This is one power of Maya. Praptasya upeksha. Whatever we have, towards that, it will create upeksha. Upeksha means, oh, this was meant to be here. And apraptasya apeksha. What I don't have, towards that only mind will go. So devotee is somebody who is santushtaha. Goswami Tulsidas Ji in Vibhishan Gita, he says, Dana parasu santosha krupana. Krupana means an axe. He says in the chariot of life, the axe in that chariot is contentment. Isn't it counterintuitive? We would feel contentment means that person is happy, not doing anything, not a go-getter. And here he says, axe will do what? Axe will take us further. It has to be used to go further. That axe he relates to contentment. Now put it other way, we can understand it better. Do you think person who is discontent, that person is more efficient, or a person who is content will be more efficient? Person who is content will operate at his best. Even if somebody is going for a job interview, if that person badly needs that job, if he is going with that mindset that I really need, I hope I get it, I don't know what will happen if I don't get it, very quickly in their speech, that discontentment will show. Somewhere it will trickle down. But a person who is content can actually rule that discussion. He's not helplessly going after it. He wants it, no doubt. So contentment is something which will take us forward. Santushtaha satatam yogi. I had read one story in the life of Benjamin Franklin. It is said some people came and they used to always tell him, this contentment and all, it doesn't work in today's world. If you have to be efficient, you have to be hungry for so many things. He had a young boy, small child. He called him. He gave him one apple. The child was happy, juicy apple, he used to like it. He gave another apple. He held it, little boy, tiny hands, 2 hands, 2 apples. Gave one more apple. Then all 3 fell down. And he started crying. Then it is said, Benjamin Franklin, he says, if we are not content with what we have, most likely we won't be content with what we would like to have. If I am not content with what I have, very likely I will not be content with what I want to have. This is something we have to see in our own life, how we have wanted things, and when they come, after some time as though it loses its charm. Slowly from the living room, it will go to some other room, slowly to the garage. And there it will be a permanent fixture, several years. One simple rule of thumb is, if you have not used it for 1 year, most likely we can live without it. Seasons have changed, everything is gone through in that year. But anyway, you use your judgment, don't quote me on this. Santushta, very, very content. Yatatma. Yatatma means constantly he is putting forth effort to improve himself. Constantly he is working upon himself. It is not to say that he does not falter. There are times when he falters. In fact, there are several times when he falters. But when he notices it, without endorsing it or justifying it, he tries to correct it. There was one Mahatma Ji. He went to one holy place, Vrindavan. Another senior Mahatma Ji came and he said, "Please teach me Bhagavatam. You do Katha of Bhagavatam, I will sit and listen." This junior Mahatma Ji, he said, "Maharaji, to you I have to speak Bhagavatam. You will sit down and listen." I'm feeling very embarrassed, I won't be able to speak in front. He said, "No, you have to do it. It is my command." So this senior Mahatma Ji said, junior one was speaking. After everything was done, 7 days Saptaha was done, the senior Mahatma Ji, he came and said, "Okay, now I want to give you Guru Dakshina." He said, "Maharaj, until this point was okay. Now please don't make me feel more uncomfortable. You sat there and listened, that itself is so great." But no, he insisted, I want to give you. He said, "Okay, if that is your will, please give." In Guru Dakshina he said, "From today onwards, may you never think of yourself as a jiva. You are that pure consciousness, abide in it." And this junior Mahatma Ji, he would share later, "From that day onwards, I never thought about myself as this body." So this, when he was narrating to other people, there were few students sitting there. They said, "Mahatma Ji, if it is this easy, can you please bless us also?" He said, to come to this point, to get that blessing from him, I had to be Yatatma. Constantly worked on my personality. बहुत पापड़ बेलने पड़े हैं. In Hindi they say, right? It is not something which has happened overnight. I have traveled a long journey, then this blessing came as Phalashruti. So Yatatma is somebody who feels every day is a new beginning. Bhagwan has to wipes the slate, overnight. He says, this is a new day, but same challenges. It might come from different people, different situation. You see our day, more or less it is the same. Somebody praises, somebody criticizes, somebody gets angry, somebody is nice to us. But he says, you can be Yatatma. Actually, that is a sense of competition. For a spiritual seeker, it is said, don't compete with the world. Even within spirituality or in secular. Just compete with yourself. That can also be a motivation. Sometimes we ask that question, right? Without competitive spirit, how can there be motivation? You see, there can be motivation because competition is with ourselves. How much time does it take for me to bounce back from mind which has gotten disappointed? How much delay time is there for mind to get agitated? Delay time should increase and bounce back time should decrease. If somebody takes several days, several years, that is samsari. Bouncing back within few hours, few days, sadhaka. No need to bounce back because he has never fallen, siddha purusha, accomplished person. The one who is striving for that person is yatatma. Drudha nishchaya. Drudha nishchaya means once he has made up his mind, once he has gotten conviction about few things, he doesn't allow any and every opinion to shake that conviction. Let us say he has gone to some camp, some satsang he heard, and there this conviction was there: be spiritual. Life is not only for sense pleasures. Using that time for some spiritual pursuit. Nature of Bhagwan he heard, that Bhagwan is compassionate. Whoever does his worship, his grace comes on them. Now once he has nishchaya, he doesn't allow it to be shaken. Even about the truth, saguna nature of Bhagwan, nirguna nature of Bhagwan, in everything he says, I have nishchaya. Whether I have perfected myself or not, he says I am still on the journey. But my goal will not change. If we are starting from point A to point B, we need to have nishchaya about where is point B. If somebody comes and says, why are you going to New York? Go to Florida. I say, okay, go to Florida, I'll go to Florida. Sometimes this airport, they have announcements. We are overbooked today. We have one flight. Instead of going to New York, it's going to Florida. If anybody is available, please come forward. You see, he will not just go anywhere because they are offering free flight. He says, I have a goal, that is all I want to go. Like that, this person doesn't let go of spiritual goal. He says, Bhagwan is my goal, everything else is means to reach there. That is his nishchaya, drudha nishchaya. Same drudha nishchaya comes in vyavahara also. If they have made a resolve to do certain things during the day, that conviction is what will take them forward. Drudha nishchaya. Mayyar pitamano buddhihi. If there is wood, in that wood or from that wood, if you carve out this harmonium, into what is this harmonium offered? Into that wood, because that is the material from which it came. If there is gold, you make ornaments out of gold. If you dissolve that gold, if you dissolve that ornament, into what will that ornament get dissolved? Into gold. If you make pots and clays, pots and pans from clay, if you break the pot and pan, into what will that pot and pan dissolve? Into clay. Like that, he knows his mana and buddhi has emerged from the Lord. From that Chaitanya alone, mana and buddhi have come. So in and through his transaction, one part of his mind is surrendered to the cause. Either nirguna or even saguna. He says, my mind is arpita. Arpita means offered to Bhagwan. One thing about offering is, once you offer, We don't have any right over it. Gurudev would say this, whenever winter time would come, people would bring many shawls. And on that shawl, name would be written, Chinmaya, 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 Chinmaya. Whole shawl is his name. But he said, once it is given, it is my shawl. Next time when they would come, they would ask, Gurudev, last time I gave you a shawl. I hope you are using it. He said, once you do arpanam, it is of the one to whom you have done arpanam to. Like that, his whole life, including mind and intellect. He says, Bhagwan, this is yours. Guruji would say, we have this ringtone, right, for phone. He said, in a day we should have 3 ringtones. 3 times that ringtone should ring. What is that ringtone? He said, Deena Bandhu Deena Nath, Meri Dori Tere Haath. Hey Bhagwan, Deena Bandhu Deena Nath, the reins of my life, Meri Dori Tere Haath, that is in your hands. Whatever you do with it, I am okay. Mayyar Pitamano Buddhihi Yomad Bhakta Same Priya. That devotee is very, very dear to me. Gopis, they have written one song when Uddhavji comes to Vrindavan. They say, Udho mananahi dasabis. You are telling us, do this, do that, so many other things, duties, this and that. You see, we had only one mind, and that has gone with Bhagavan. Udho mananahi dasabis. And sometimes, in some songs, they keep a Brahmara, and talk to that Brahmara as though they are talking to Bhagavan Krishna. All of that is called as Brahmar Geet. That is the example of Mai Arpita Mano Buddhi. Mind totally surrendered to the Lord. Keeping that in mind, everything else is happening. Now when he is with people, what does he ensure? 14th verse was, when he is by himself, how does he live? Always content, trying to improve himself, making his conviction strong, and mind surrender to God. Now he cannot be by himself all the time. When he is interacting with people, what is one thing he makes sure that is always practiced? 15th verse. Yasman no dvijate lokaha lokan no dvijate chayah harsha marsha bhayo dvegaihi mukto yassa cha me priyah Yasman no dvijate lokah lokan no dvijate chayah harsha marsha bhayo dvegaihi mukto yassa cha me priyah. Very difficult sadhana, huh? Yasmat lokah na udvijate. This person or devotee is somebody because of whom nobody gets agitated. Udvijate means getting agitated. Loka means other people. That person from whom other people don't get agitated. Means he makes sure that all his transactions, body language, speech, everything is such that it is pleasing. This body language is something, it is very unsaid. And sometimes we say, how can I control what others feel about us? लोगों का काम है कहना. People will say whatever they have to say. If we start from that point, we will never be able to do this sadhana. So they say we should start with this mindset that may our vyavahara, may our transactions be very, very mindful. One Zen master, two disciples came to him asking, Master, teach me meditation. Teach me meditation. He said, I will teach, but there are few other things you have to learn before. They had dashed into his room, threw their slipper somewhere, slammed the door and come inside. He said that first slipper is crying because of the weight of the top slipper. First make sure that you put both of them next to each other. The door that you shut violently, that is still feeling the pain. Then he said, only when we can be mindful of objects outside can we become mindful of our thoughts. Because in meditation, you are observing your thought as an object. So the training is to observe objects first as objects, actually objects as living beings. And then come to this subtler sadhana. Yasmat lokah na udvijate. His transactions don't agitate anybody. And regarding speech, Bhagavan gives so much of elaboration in 17th chapter of Bhagavad Gita. He says, whatever this person speaks, first of all is non-agitating. It is factual. It is non-agitating, it is factual. It is dear to the other person. Non-agitating, factual, dear. And last one is, it is beneficial to the other person. So whenever he thinks about, should I say this or not? He has this checklist. Can I say it in the most non-agitating way? If I say it, will it be dear to the other person? Is it factual or not? Have I made sure that it is really a matter of fact? And if I tell it to him, will it benefit or not? Bhagavan Shankaracharya writes, he says, at every given point, we have to hold on to 3 out of these 4 things. It might be possible that 1 out of 4 we have to let go. But if you let go of 2 out of 4, he says that is not tapasya. And this happens every day, day in and day out. There are some things you have to communicate to somebody. At work, I'm sure all of you are familiar with this. What do they say? Difficult conversations. Now, we might try our best, but still the other person got agitated. Udvega happened. But see, other 3 if you are holding on to, means it is factual. It is said in the way that it will be dear to the other person. And third is, it is beneficial to the other person. You see, it is still tapasya. Letting go of satyam, can it still be tapasya? Out of 4 things, right? What was the first one? Non-agitating. Second was factual. Third was Priyam. Priyam is, it should be dear to the other person. Fourth one is, it should benefit the other person. Out of these 4, if you let go of truth, can it still be called tapasya? What Bhagavan Shankaracharya said, if you hold on to 3 out of 4, it can be tapasya. The example for this is Panchatantra story. We tell children Panchatantra story or not? Monkey said this, fox said this, jackal laughed. You think really jackal and monkey said all these things? So Satyam you are dropping. But other three are held on to. It doesn't agitate the child, anudvegakaram. It is dear to the child and it is beneficial to the child. Now to explain some point, let us say you, in Balvihar class, you came up with your own story. Now that story is not found in some Itihasa and Purana. But still other three are held on to. Non-agitating, it is beneficial, and it is dear. So that is called as tapasya. But in general, in Vyavahara, his speech he pays lot of attention. Who is the Devata of speech? Agni Devata. Saraswati Devata also. Saraswati Devi, Buddhi. See, Buddhi and speech are connected. What we say is, I'm thinking out loud. You're thinking or you're speaking? Are speaking and thinking are related? That's why same Devata also. Saraswati Devi for thinking, Saraswati Devi for speech. But more specific Devata is Agni. Vacho Devata, Vahni. So fire we have to handle very carefully. It can give warmth, but it can burn things also. So that he pays lot of attention in every situation. Lokaha yasmat na udvijate. Then lokat yaha na udvijate. That person is not agitated by the world also. Who is doing what? He says, let them do whatever they are doing. Kah kim karma iti avyapruta chetah. Kah kim karma. Bhagavan Shankaracharya ji, 6th chapter of Bhagavad Gita. For a meditator, he says this. He has developed a skill to not get caught up in who is doing what. Next line is very difficult. Harsha, amarsha, bhaya, udvegaihi muktah. One meaning is, harsha means over-excitement. Amarsha means intolerance towards opposing views. This person cannot take any view other than his. That is called as amarsha. Bhaya means fear, and udvega means agitation. He is free from all four things. Another way to look at it is, he has been freed by all four things. Udvegaihi muktah means anger said, there is no point in living here anymore, let me go away. Over-excitement said, even if I am there, he doesn't get excited, let me go away. Like this, all those vices which are there, they have freed him. So karta can be those four also. In our scriptures it is said, whenever a person gets overexcited, they might end up transgressing values. And that transgression of values can take us into trouble. That's why those people who play Olympics, they have multiple games, right? Back to back. I was listening to one interview of an Olympian. She said one thing we are taught is, don't celebrate after a victory. Because if you celebrate too much, your next game is gone. So harsha, whenever it is there, over-excitement, it is very dangerous. How many times we hear, this person is a teetotaler. But some celebration will come, everybody will say, today it's okay. Aaj chalega. That is this harsha. It covers our viveka, covers our ability to discern, and can push us into doing something erroneous. Amarsha means not having this ability to listen to opposing arguments. It is that one quality of a leader is, without saying anything, he should be able to steer everybody to the right conclusion. Means saying when it is needed. But if we start with this idea that I am right, you are wrong, you see, we can never go anywhere. Traditionally, there used to be debates. You know what was the criteria in that debate? Let's say two people are arguing. One person makes a point, second person disagrees with his point, let us say. Before he can start refuting it, he has to restate what point person 1 made to his satisfaction. So that person 1 should be convinced that you understood my point well. Before you are refuting, you know what I am talking. This is called as Vada. Vada means you make a point, the other person will make a point. But before he makes it, he will restate. This is how Shankaracharya ji and other scholars would argue. So Ramanujacharya ji, for example, when he is refuting Shankaracharya ji, he will not directly start refuting. He will honestly state what Shankaracharya ji has written first. And while reading Ramanujacharya ji, students of Vedanta get more clarification about Vedanta. Because he has opened it so much, systematically he will elaborate, systematically he will write. So those who are able to give attention to different views, give value to different opinions, that is this quality of a devotee. Because you should remember, it is the same Lord speaking through different people. And these decisions are such, nobody can say at any point that this is the right decision. Only person who can tell is time. That is this quality of Amarsha. No fear because of his devotion. He says, why should I have any fear about future? Udvega, agitation. No agitation because his heart is always thinking about the Lord, and his sadhana also is deepening his personality. Waters in the ocean are more where the depth is shallow. Deep waters, even if that wave is huge, what we see above is very little, tiny ripples. Like that, he has deepened his personality by being Yatatma. Really speaking, in human birth, that is our true progress. If somebody asks, what is the progress in human birth? Physical body, we don't have to do anything to progress. We have to just maintain it. Bhagavan has put it on autopilot mode. Whether we like it or not, we will grow old. But as far as mind is concerned, mind will not evolve without effort. That's why that word has come, Yatatma. One fine day he became sadhaka, one fine day he conquered anger. You see, that will never happen. Now few more qualities. Anapeksha shuchir dakshah udasino gatavyatah sarvarambha parityagi yo madbhaktas same priyah अनपेक्ष शुचिर दक्षः उदासीनो गतव्यथः सर्वारंभ परित्यागी यो मद्भक्तः स मे प्रियः. Anapeksha. Apeksha means to expect. Unapeksha would be what? No expectations. If you directly translate it, many of these things will look very impractical. So, mellower way to understand it, in between way to understand is no false expectations. Anapeksha means that person who doesn't have any false expectation. What is false expectation? Whenever we start expecting something different from its nature. If there is fire, nature of fire is hot. If I go and touch that fire, hoping that it could be cool sometimes, you see, that is your false expectation. Whatever is nature of a thing, think through it and accept it as it is. Now just look at this. Look at our own life. What are those things? What is their nature? And what are we expecting? Nature of body. Is it changing or unchanging? Changing. If I expect this body to remain the same every time, where will you put it? False expectation or reasonable expectation? That is false expectation. This world that we live in, is it a perfect world or an imperfect world? Perfect in the eyes of God. That is also one sadhana. If we can get the vision of Bhagavan, everything will look perfect. With that, even imperfections which are there, that will also become easy to deal with. But if we insist, nobody should get angry, nobody should feel disappointed, there should be no jealousy seen anywhere. Means in Kali Yuga, we are expecting Satya Yuga, how it should be. So, anapeksha means not having false expectations. And we will notice, moment we drop those expectations, it becomes easier to deal with it. How did this person say such a thing to me? Why can't he say? That is this ability of working with expectations. Anapeksha, shuchihi. For anapeksha, I remember one thing that Guruji always says. He said it many times rather. He said, I have traveled so much, seen so many things. Now I have reached a point where nothing surprises me. The only surprise is from where the surprise is coming. This person you never expected to surprise. He said that is where it will surprise. But otherwise he said, everything is been there, done that. That is called as anapeksha. No expectation is very difficult. So sadhana will be no wrong expectations. Shuchihi means he is very pure. Behind every action, he has purity of intention. Purity of intention. With that, he does all vyavahara. Now this purity is something Bhagavan doesn't give us any freedom. Few actions it is okay if you don't have pure intention. He doesn't give any of that freedom. He says behind every action there should be purity. And this intention is something which we cannot know from outside. Outside it might look the same work. Inside what is the intention, only that person will know. Ramakrishna Paramahamsi, he would tell one story. He said there was a goldsmith shop whoever would come to that shop, first thing they would hear was Keshava, Keshava. They would feel very nice. Arey, Bhagwan's name right when you come. Go a little further, another person would scream, Gopala, Gopala. Gopala, Gopala. I say, Arey wah, another devotee here. Then third person would say, Hari Hari, Hari Hari. And another fourth person would say, Hara Hara, Hara Hara. Now naturally, if it's spiritual person or somebody who is pious person, they would say, I've come to the right place, very pious goldsmith, let me buy something. But really speaking, it was their code language. First that Sethji would ask, new party has come, new group has come. Keshava, Keshava, how are they? Second person would answer, they're as innocent as calves. Gopala, Gopala. Don't know much. Then he would ask again, can I cheat? Hari Hari, Hari Hari. I say, yes, please go ahead. Hara Hara, Hara Hara. This is a good group. So he would say, intention is something which is not known through external appearance. But person who becomes sadhaka, for him this is more important than external vyavahara. You know, our homes have this alarm systems, right? Small movement, what is it called? Away. If you put it on away, small movement inside, it will start beeping. Sometimes if you're in a new building, first time you went there, dangerous. You don't know what to do, whom to call. Just like it can detect that smallest movement, sadhaka can detect smallest impurity. Not even in action, first at thought level. He says, if I am a seeker, this kind of thought doesn't give shobha to me. Is not graceful in a seeker. So that person is Shuchihi. Patanjali Yoga Sutra, it is said, the one who practices internal and external purity gets vairagya. One who practices purity gets vairagya. That's a separate topic to elaborate, but I think Shuchihi means purity. Now, in the midst of all these things, he also pays attention to details. Whatever work is given to him, does it very efficiently with his heart in that work. If somebody does it just for the sake of it, what do we say? His heart was not there. That's why he gets the title Daksha. Daksha means one who does not compromise on anything, does not cut corners. Especially when nobody is watching. I have to do Shodasha Upachara Puja. Nobody is there. Anyway, Bhagwan is, compassionate. He says, no, whether anybody is there or not, I will do it diligently. Daksha means that person. Gurudev, in one quote he says, right? Every work demands its own quota of efforts. Means unless you put that much amount, we will not get the result. That is one thing about karma. It's like digging a well, Oh, I dig 90%. 10% I was tired. He says, even if you dug 90%, if you want water, you will have to go 100%. That is this sadhaka who says, I will do my best in everything. Bhagavan Krishna in Bhagavad Gita uses two words in Karma Yoga. One word he says, Mukta Sangha. Don't get attached to work. But at the same time he says, Samachara. Do that work very well. Generally what might happen is, whatever we start doing very well, there we get attached. And if somebody says, don't get attached, then we say, okay, I won't do it, let somebody else do it. He says, no, Samachara, at the same time, Mukta Sangha. Both of it has to go together. In Ramayana it is said, the day Bharatji took entire Ayodhya to Chitrakoot, such a great devotee of the Lord, the day he decides all of us will go to Chitrakoot, he spends the whole night planning for security of Chitrakoot, security of Ayodhya. He says, my Bhagwan trusted me with his wealth. First of all, it doesn't belong to me. If I just leave everything and go, and neighboring enemy comes and attacks us, what am I going to tell Bhagwan? There's a long description, how he arranges, how he plans. That is his devotee, Daksha. Sometimes haircuts they do, right? Cheap haircuts. I had read one signboard once. We offer $7 haircuts. There was a shop right next to it. We repair $7 haircuts. If you do it well. Don't do it half-heartedly, live in between. Anapekshaha shuchir dakshaha. Udasinaha. Udasina means wherever God has placed him, he has developed an ability to stay above that thing. Ut means above. Asina means seated. Udasina doesn't mean disinterested. In Hindi sometimes you say, inka chehra udasin hai. Udas hai. Udas means what? Very dull, uninterested. It is not that meaning here. Ut asina means seated above. Whatever transaction is going on, he is untouched or seated above that transaction. Just like a king who sits and watches the parade is unaffected by that parade. Like that, this person sits slightly above that situation. Sometimes when children fight over toy or something and come to parents, now parents also don't start taking the third side. They will be udasina. They have risen above that toy, that's why they can equally look at both of them. That ability, one who has, is called as udasina. Gatav vyatha. Vyatha means stress. Vyatha means some kind of uneasiness within. Vyadhi word you have heard? Vyadhi means disease. Means where we are not at ease is called as vyadhi. Like that, vyatha. Most likely this comes because we have this innate tendency to bite more than what we can chew. To take on more than what we can eat. The one who is very alert in this is called as gatavyataha. In fact, Bhagwan calls this kind of buddhi as sattvika buddhi. He gives different characteristics. One characteristic is this person knows where to get engaged, where not to get engaged. What he should be doing, what he should not be doing. The one who knows this is called as Sattvic Buddhi. What is the result of Sattvic Buddhi? Joy. Result of Rajasic Buddhi? Vyatha. Vyatha. Most of the times it is our own ahankara. It likes to become big. Our scriptures are telling us you are the biggest. You are that consciousness which is infinite. But having identified with this ahankara, it wants to become big through ahankara. In that pursuit, it ends up getting this vyatha. Udasinah gatavyatah. Sarvarambha parityagi. Sarva arambha parityagi. Literal meaning of this is, he doesn't do anything. That's why literal meaning we should not take in Bhagavad Gita. Huh? You ask that person anything. Do you want to help here? No. We are starting a new thing. Do you want to contribute? No. Means he's applying neti in vyavahara. Whatever you ask, no. He says that is not sarvarambha parityagi. Means it doesn't start anything out of incompleteness. He doesn't do arambha of anything with this idea that this will give me joy. He will do it either with a sense of duty, or he will do it with his sincere prayer to please God. Arambha will be seen. You will see that he is also starting few things. But his inner climate is very different. Inner climate is, this word is Gurudev's word. He would say climatic conditions of the mind. His inner mindset is, I am not going to gain anything by this particular work. If at all I want something, he says, may I get purity of mind. Sometimes we feel purity of mind is the means for karma yoga. Purity of mind is the means for karma yoga. Means only the person who has pure mind can do karma yoga. Really speaking, purity of mind is a result of karma yoga. The one who has done work very well, that person will get this purity. Purity, in simple words, if you want to understand, is cheerfulness. That mind which is available for subtle thinking, that mind is pure. Sarvarambha parityagi yomad bhaktah same priyah. That person is very dear to me. Next verse is talking about how does he look at situations. When different paristhithis come in his life, how does he look? Yo na hrishyati na dveshti, na shochati na kankshati, shubha shubha parityagi, bhaktimanyas same priyah. Yo na hrishyati na dveshti, na shochati na kankshati, shubha shubha parityagi, bhaktimanyas same priyah. Many ideas we have seen before. Yo na hrishyati, doesn't get excited. Na dveshti, doesn't hate. Doesn't weep over and above. Doesn't weep out of place, is not sorrowful for too long. Na shochati, na kankshati, doesn't have fanciful ideas about what he should get in life. So na hrishyati, na dveshti is in the present. Harsha, excitement, and hatred is in the present. Lamenting or sorrow is in the past. Shoka. And last one, na kankshati. Helplessly desiring is about future. Present, past, and future is very well taken care of. He looks upon the past as a guru. We have so many gurus in life. One guru is our own anubhava, experience. And experience is always of the past only, in the past. About future, experience is yet to come. So it doesn't have too much of shoka. It is said if we get success in something, we have a success story. Even if we have failed at something, we still have a story. So with that, he looks at his past. Present, he looks with the spirit of acting. Sometimes we think or we feel, I have this goal, but if somebody comes and asks, for that goal, what are you doing right now? Many times we realize, right now I'm not doing anything. But still I have this goal. See, many people share also. I've been wanting to learn music for so long. Last time also I met you 5 years ago. You had the same goal. You wanted to learn music. From there to now, anything you did? You say, no, I did not do anything, but I still have that goal. So in the present, it is said karma, act. And about future, faith. Instead of akanksha, he has that faith. Shubha Shubha Parityagi doesn't have any insistence on going to better worlds. Shubha means on the strength of punya to go to Swarga. Generally, we don't have these desires. These are traditional thinkers. They will think about going to heaven and Naraka, trying to avoid it. Means any better place, thinking that if I go there, everything will be good. Shubha Shubha Parityagi, Bhaktimanyah Same Priyah. That person is dear to me. Next 3 verses, let us read together. Samashatrau cha mitre cha tatha manapamanayoho Shitoshna sukha dukkheshu Samassanga vivarjitah Tulya nindastutir mauni Santushto yena kenachite Aniketa sthiramatihi Bhaktiman me priyo naraha Ye tu dharmyamrutamidam Yathoktam pariyupasate Shraddhadhana matparamaha Bhaktastetiva me priyaha. One who is equanimous, samaha, between whom? Between enemy and friend. Shatrau mitre samaha. And equanimous in praise and criticism. Mana and apamana. He feels, or he has understood, mana comes because of punya karma. See, mana gives us joy or does it give sorrow? Mana means praise, honor. If somebody honors us, it gives joy. And if somebody does apamana, that gives sorrow. So he has made that connection very clear. Punya karma gives sorrow, Punya karma gives joy, Papa karma gives sorrow. So if mana is coming, what is getting encashed? Punya or Papa? Punya is getting encashed. The Punya account is getting depleted. And if somebody is doing apamana, what is going down? Papa karma. It is not to say we should seek apamana. This is to say, if apamana is happening, he feels this is increasing my tapa buddhi. My forbearance is getting stronger and stronger through this apamana. Mana, on the other hand, it is not doing much good. That's why if you see traditional music teachers, traditional dance teachers, they will never praise the student. So much so that the student will feel, whole world knows. I hope my teacher also knew. One student told me this, He sang one bhajan and everybody said, oh, very nicely you sang. He said, I hope my teacher also said this. But the teacher wants the student to become like gold. To shine so well, he says this apamana or the sammana, the praise which is there, that will slow down their progress. It is at the day we start feeling there is nothing more to learn. That's a very sad day for that person in any field, either music, any art form, or spiritual path. This person has healthy attitude towards mana and apamana. Shitoshna sukha dukkheshu, different pair of opposites at physical body level, he can forbear. And sangha vivarjitaha doesn't get attached anywhere. See, again, these words are coming. We have seen it before. Bhagavan just is reiterating. Tulya ninda stutir mauni. Again, he says somebody praises, doesn't get excited. Somebody criticizes, doesn't get dejected. Kabir Das Ji has written one doha. Nindaka niyare rakhiye, angana kuti chhavaye. He says, bring all your critics close to you. Keep them very close. And build a house for them in your courtyard. Angana kuti chhavaye. Because they will cleanse us of our ego without soap and water. Bina pani sabuna binu nirmala kare suhai. Now this critique or criticism is such, it can only be of two types. One is valid criticism or valid critique, either way you take. Let's keep it critique to make it more easy to understand. Now there are so many things within us which is visible to others, but it is not visible to us. So if critique is valid, he says we should learn from it. And especially we should have few people in whom we have trust and give them this privilege, or we should have this privilege to get critiqued by them. Your critique, I have full faith in. Second type of critique is what? Invalid. Somebody might critique for the sake of critiquing. So on Mahatma Ji, he had written one article, Nindaka Nere Rakhiye. That was the title of this article. And what he said there was, if you find any value in a critique, accept it and try to work on it. If you feel it is not meaningful, be reminded that this critique is helping you to be saved from such a thing in the future. Critique can either be of something of the present, or it is just a reminder that be alert about this, it can come in the future. So in that way he is equanimous in Ninda and Stuti. Madhusudana Saraswati ji, in one of his work, he has written on Mangalacharanam Shloka. He says, may people praise this author or may people criticize this author. I am not the author, so it doesn't affect me. His own work. He says, I have stepped out from that role of authorship. It was due to divine inspiration I did my work. Let people praise the author or criticize the author. He says, I am not the author. Tulya ninda stutir mauni santushtaha yena kenachit. Content with whatever comes. Aniketaha. Aniketa means, literal meaning of Aniketa is one who doesn't have a home. But what it means is, he is not afraid of stepping out of his comfort zone. Home represents comfort. We get everything at the same time that we want. Nobody questions us why you are doing a particular thing. Okay, in general, there should be no questioning, okay? That is what is home, right? It belongs to us. Nobody asks us, why are you staying here? Why are you in the living room? Why are you in the drawing? Why are you in the backyard? I can go wherever I want. That comfort to let go is not easy. If you have organized any camp, organized and not attended, that time you will realize how many questions you get about facilities at the camp. Do you have this? Do you have that? Attached bathroom, this, that? Because to step out from comfort zone is not easy. That is called as Aniketa, one who is able to go anywhere and be happy. Stiramatihi. Mind doesn't waver too much, convictions are strong. Bhaktiman me priyo naraha. That devotee is dear to me. Last verse is very beautiful. Until now, Bhagavan said, that devotee is dear to me. In the last verse, he says, Bhaktaha te ativa me priyaha. These devotees are the dearest to me. Who are these devotees? Ye tu dharmyam rutamidam. Those devotees who have heard these values. Adveshta sarva bhutanam until Aniketa sthiramatihi. They might be imperfect right now, but sincerely they are praying to God to get those values. They don't even have too much of clarity about who is God, what is His nature, where is He. But they say, because He has said, I will try to live my life like this. Shraddha dhana mat paramaha. With lot of faith, they are working on themselves. Consider Bhagwan as the Supreme. Bhaktaha te ativa me priyaha. They are dearest to me. Such a great assurance, right? In Balvihar also, we get some students whose parents are very spiritual. Parents might be involved in the mission, might be doing their own sadhanas. Naturally, the child also learns. But you might also have few students who are very spiritual. They pay attention to you in class. They will do all the homework that you give. Very participative. But at home, the environment might not be spiritual. So you will love the first child, whose home environment is spiritual and the boy also is spiritual. But second child, we will love even more. That in spite of everything being unconducive, still this boy is spiritual. Like that, Bhagwan loves that devotee who is trying his best. He might not have everything right now, but he says he is on the right path. We will chant the Pushpika Vakya. Iti Shrimad Bhagavad Gitasu Upanishatsu Brahma Vidyayam Yoga Shastre Shri Krishna Arjuna Samvade Bhakti Yogo Nama Dvadashodhyayah. Om Purnamadah Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om.